ॐ नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय।
ॐ नमो
नमो
भगवते
भगवते
वासुदेवाय।
वासुदेवाय।
ॐ नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय।
ॐ नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय।
ॐ नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय।
ॐ नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय।
Okay, now the Mangalacharan prayers we offer to the Guru and Lord Shri Krishna and Guru Shishya Parampara. So let's recite this together. Om Ajnanatimirandhasya Jnananjanashalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri
तस्मै
Guruve
श्री
Namah.
गुरुवे नमः।
Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam
नमो
Thapitam Yena Bhutale
भूतले
Swayam Rupa Kada
स्वयं
Mahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guroho Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavanscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Pada Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Deenabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namaste Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya eva cha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namah Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Preshthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namne Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshvatare Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura Bhaktavinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Shri Krishna Bhagavan ki Jai Shri Prabhupada ki Jai Shri Bhagavad Gita ki Jai Hare Krishna Hare Krishna Rajesh Parve Prabhu
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. We are studying from Bhagavad Gita, chapter 8, Akshara Brahma Yoga, or Attaining the Supreme. And last week we learned about the spiritual world that Krishna gives description of. And he mentions that there is another. First, he mentioned that in this world, Abrahma Bhuvana Loka Punaravartinorjuna, Mam Upetya tu Kaunteya Punarjanma na Vidyate. Whoever comes to my spiritual world, he doesn't have to take birth again. And if somebody goes to even Swarga Loka or Brahma Loka or anywhere, he has to come back again in this material world. He has to take birth again. And the place which we learned earlier that Krishna mentions as Dukkhalayam Ashashvatam, this whole material creation is actually place of misery and miseries, and it is temporary, Ashashvatam. And then he gives little bit description of the timeline in the material world, that even on the highest planet in this material world, that is called Satyaloka or Brahmaloka, where Brahmaji with his associates live, So the duration of that planet is given Sahasra Yuga Paryantam Aharyat Brahmano Vidu. That the day of Brahmaji is 1000 Divya Yugas or Chatur Yugas according to the calculation of these earthly years. And such is also his night. And this everybody at the beginning of the Brahma's day, all the living entities in this universe come into being, or they are kind of come out of their dormant state, carrying their karmic reactions, what they have accumulated in past lives, and then they go through the reactions. They live here, they become manifest, and then they go through different lifetimes, even in one Brahma's day, and then as Brahmaji's night falls, they merge into unmanifest again, and they go into unmanifest state with their karmic reactions still stored for them to experience. And thus, they, without their control, helplessly, they are created and annihilated again and again. Bhutva bhutva praliyate. Ratriagame vasha partha prabhavanti aharagame. And as soon as the night comes, they are merged into the unmanifested or avyakta state. Then last week we learned about but this is all description of the material creation. But he says that paras tasmat, other than superior, or there is another creation that is beyond this material creation, beyond this avyakta and vyakta, something that is manifesting and unmanifesting periodically. Beyond this, there is another creation that is a spiritual creation, and that even when the living entities or the material creation is unmanifested here, or it becomes avyakta, that particular creation is not annihilated. Na vinashyati. And what is that? So that which the Vedantists also, because based on the understanding and the studies and the knowledge that they have acquired, they also describe as the unmanifest, that is always avyakta, and akshara, infallible, that is never deteriorates. It never, the living entities there are all infallible. Eventually we'll read in the 15th chapter there are two types of living entities. Svavima Purusho Loke, Ksharascha Akshara Evacha. Kshara and Akshara, fallible and infallible. So that which is known as the supreme destination, the spiritual kingdom, which is known as the supreme destination, and the place, once the living entity gets free from his all the entanglement in this material world, he goes to that spiritual kingdom called Vaikuntha Lokas. He never returns again. And that, he says, is my supreme abode. That is my spiritual kingdom. Even that has different hierarchies, and in the whole creation, including the spiritual kingdom and the material creation is only a smaller portion of it. And that's what we will learn today a little bit more in detail. And the spiritual kingdom is actually the whole major creation, where there are many Vaikuntha planets. And the highest planet in that spiritual kingdom is called Golok or Vrindavan, where Lord Shri Krishna is eternally performing his Leela or pastimes with his eternal associates. So today we'll go to study verse 22. And we'll see how much time, and then we can continue a couple of more verses as time permits. So let's recite this shloka. Purusha sa para partha.
Purusha sa para partha.
Purusha sa para partha.
Purusha sa para partha.
Bhaktya labhyastvananyaya.
Bhaktya labhyastvananyaya.
Bhaktya labhyastvananyaya.
Bhaktya labhyastvananyaya.
Yasyantah sthani bhutani.
यस्यान्तस्थानि
यस्यान्तः स्थानि भूतानि
यस्यान्तस्थानि
येन सर्वमिदं ततम्
येन सर्वमिदं ततम्
येन सर्वमिदं ततम्
येन सर्वमिदं ततम्
पुरुषः स पर पार्थ
पुरुषः परपार्थ
भक्त्या लभ्यस्त्वनन्यया
भक्त्या लभ्यस्त्वनन्यया
यस्यान्तः स्थानि भूतानि
यस्यान्तस्थानि
येन सर्वमिदं ततम्
येन सर्वमिदं ततम्.
We'll take a couple of recitations. Rajesh Anantaraman Prabhu, do you want to recite?
Yes. Purusha Saparapartha
पुरुषः परपार्थ
Bhaktya Labhyastvananyaya
भक्त्या लभ्यस्त्वनन्यया
Yasyantasthani Bhutani
यस्यान्तस्थानि भूतानि
Yena Sarvam Idam Tatam.
येन सर्वमिदं ततम्.
Jitendra Prabhu, would you be able to recite?
एक मिनिट. पुरुषः स पार्थ
पुरुषः परपार्थ
भक्त्या लभ्यस्तवन्तनयनया
भक्त्या लभ्यस्त्वनन्यया
यस्यान्तस्थानि
यस्यान्तस्थानि
भूतानि एवं सर्वमिद ततम्
येन सर्वमिदं ततम्.
Thank you so much, Chitu Prabhu. So the word for word meaning here or synonyms. Purusha means the supreme personality, that is Sri Krishna. Sa means he. Paraha means the supreme. The supreme than whom no one is greater. So there is no competitor or rival to him. That's the supreme. So supreme Purusha. Partha, O son of Pratha. Bhaktya means by bhakti or by devotional service. Labhya means can be achieved. Tu means but. Ananyaya means unalloyed or undeviating. Yasya means whom. Antasthani means within. Bhutani means all the material manifestations, the material living entities and everything, all the manifestation. Yena means by whom. Sarvam means all. Idam means whatever we can see. Tatam means pervaded. Translation and purport by Srila Prabhupada. So the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is greater than all, is attainable by unalloyed devotion, Ananya Bhakti. Although he is present in his abode, he is all-pervading and everything is situated within him. So now this gets a little bit more technical here. So Krishna is describing about himself. Now he described about his abode, that spiritual kingdom, Parastasmat tu bhava anya, vyakta avyakta sanatana. So now he is saying Purushasya parapartha bhaktya tu labhyastu ananyaya. How the Supreme Personality of Godhead or the Bhagwan Sri Krishna can be attained? Bhakti, only by bhakti. And what type of bhakti? Ananya bhakti. Unalloyed means not mixed with anything else. And that is the actually definition also given. Rupa Goswami Prabhupada, he gives definition in the Bhakti Rasamrita Siddha, what is Uttama Bhakti. So he says, Anya Abhilashita Shunyam Jnana Karmadin Anavrutam Anukulena Krishnanu Shilanam Bhaktir Uttama. So the definition of Uttama Bhakti. Uttama means the highest level of Bhakti is given. Anya Abhilashita Shunyam. One who has no other desire than to satisfy Krishna. Anya Abhilasha. And it is also free from Jnana, Karma, everything. So Jnana is the speculative knowledge. Oh, this might be like this or this might be like this. I am doing research on this and this. All this knowledge, even the great jnanis, they contemplate on things and they identify. They go on what Prabhupada sometimes define as neti neti, that this is not this, this is not this, but they don't get the supreme person, that Krishna is the source of everything. And karma is one is still attached to karma because he is still attached to working hard for gratifying senses. Or even in devotion, sometimes we are working hard to enjoy some material enjoyment here. So the unalloyed devotion, anyabhilashita shunyam, jnana karmadi anavrutam, anukulena krishnanushilanam. And he's following Krishna's path, anushilanam. How? Anukulena. Anukulena means he's always remembering Krishna to work for him in favorable way, anukula way. That bhakti is called Uttama Bhakti. Uttama Bhakti. So that is the definition of Uttama Bhakti that Srila Rupa Goswami gives in his book called Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. That is actually the guide or the law book for Bhakti. So let's read this purport. So Kiran Prabhu, do you want to read the purport?
It is here clearly stated that the supreme destination from which there is no return is the abode of Krishna, the Supreme Person. The Brahma Samhita describes the supreme abode as Ananda Chinmaya Rasa, a place where everything is full of spiritual bliss. All the variegatedness manifest there is of the quality of spiritual bliss. Nothing there is material. That variegatedness is expanded as the spiritual expansion of the Supreme Godhead Himself. For the manifestation there is totally of the spiritual energy, as explained in chapter 7. As far as this material world is concerned, although the Lord is always in His supreme abode, He is nonetheless all-pervading by His material energy. So by His spiritual and material energies, He is present everywhere, both in the material and in the spiritual universes. Yasyantah Sthani means that everything is sustained within Him, within either His spiritual or material energy. The Lord is all-pervading by these two energies. To enter Krishna's supreme abode or the innumerable Vaikuntha planets, to enter Krishna's supreme abode of the innumerable Vaikuntha planets is possible only by bhakti, devotional service, as clearly indicated here by the word bhaktya. No other process can help one attain this supreme abode. The Vedas, Kopala Tapani Upanishad 1 also describe the supreme abode and the supreme personality of Godhead. Eko Vasta Sarvagha Krishna. In that abode, there is only one supreme personality of Godhead, whose name is Krishna. He is the supreme merciful deity, and although situated there as one, he has expanded himself into millions and millions of plenary expansions. The Vedas compare the Lord to a tree standing still, yet bearing many varieties of fruits, flowers, and changing leaves. The plenary expansions of the Lord who preside over the Vaikuntha planets are four-armed, and they are known by a variety of names: Purushottama, Trivikrama, Keshava, Madhava, Aniruddha, Rishikesha, Sankarana, Pradyumna, Sankarshana, Pradyumna, Sridhara, Vasudeva, Damodara, Janardana, Narayana, Vamana, Padmanabha, etc. The Brahma Samhita also confirms that although the Lord is always in the supreme abode, Golaka Vrindavana, he is all pervading, so that everything is going on nicely. Golaka eva nivasatya akhilatam bhutaha. As stated in the Vedas, Sveta Upanishad, Parasya Saktir Vidaviya
Sriyate Swabhakti Vidhi.
yeah, Nana Bala Kriya Ka. His energies are so expansive that they systematically conduct everything in the cosmic manifestation without a flaw, although the Supreme Lord is far, far away.
Thank you so much, Kiran Prabhu. So, very nice. So, the first paragraph explains about that whole creation is basically expansion of Lord, His energy. And we read this already in the
Yes.
so it's already need to drop for some time. Okay. We read this in 7th chapter where Krishna gives the description of this whole creation, that his energies, and we can revisit that. Let me open another session. So he says that he explains first about the material energy and then the spiritual energy. Bhumirapo nalo vayu khammano buddhirevacha ahankara iti yamme bhinna prakrutirashtada. That there are 8 separated energies or material energies of mind, that is earth, water, fire, air, ether, mind, intelligence, and false yoga, manabuddhi, ahankar. And then he says that parastasmat tu bhavo anya, apareyam tu itastvanya prakrutim viddhime param. That other than this, there is another superior energy, that is jiva bhuta mahabaho yedam dharyate jagat. So here he says that earth, water, fire, air, ether, mind, intelligence, and false ego, all together are my 8 constitute. These are all my 8 separated energies. But besides this, there is another superior energy, which is the jiva bhutam, living entities, or the spiritual energy, who are exploiting the resources of this inferior nature. And these 2 energies is what the whole creation is made up of. Etad yonini bhutani sarvani iti upadharaya aham krishnasya. And he says that aham, I am krishnasya, everything, jagata, prabhava pralayastata, creation and annihilation, prabhava and pralaya. So all created beings have their source in these 2 energies or 2 natures, spiritual and material. And of all that is material and all that is spiritual in this world, Krishnasya Jagata, know that for certain that I am both the origin and dissolution. I am the creator of this. Aham. He doesn't say that he is part of it. He is the original creator of this. So that's what Prabhupada is mentioning here, that he is all pervading. Even though he is living or he's in his spiritual abode called Goloka Vrindavan, which is in the spiritual planet, which consists of many Vaikuntha planets, he expands himself into many Vishnu Murtis, which are the presiding deities of the different Vaikuntha planets. Or there are also planets where the presiding deities of are like Narsingadev, there is a planetary system called Ayodhya, where Sri Ram is the presiding deity in the spiritual kingdom, in his original spiritual kingdom. Then there is the Vamana or the Varaha avatar. So all these expansions are originally situated in those spiritual kingdom. Those are all called Vaikuntha planets. And based on their different, so they are all four-handed. So he is expanded either in some places at two-handed or four-handed Vishnu Murti, or in his different forms that he incarnates on this planet. And all the four-handed Vishnu Murtis, they have different, different things in their hands. The Shankha, Chakra, Gada, Padma in different hands, and based on that, their names are also different. And some of the names are given here. These varieties of Vishnus are called Purushottama, Trivikrama, Keshava, Madhava, Aniruddha, Rishikesh, Sankarsana. These are the different names, or Vasudeva, Narayana. These are all different names of the different Vishnu Murtis in different planetary systems. So, and he is Ananda Chinmaya Rasa. So because the whole spiritual creation is Ananda Chinmaya Rasa Pratibhavita, it is Ananda Chinmaya Rasa. Once when a person goes there after suffering sufficiently from here and getting frustrated from here, he doesn't come back again to the spiritual kingdom. So the spiritual kingdom is full of spiritual bliss, and the forms there we get, whoever gets there, he gives up this material form and he regains his original spiritual body. And that spiritual body, through that spiritual body, then he can offer service to the Supreme Lord, and then he enjoys. So that body is also same in the quality of the Lord Sri Krishna or Vishnu Murtis. Satchidananda Vigraha. So that form is also Sat, Chit and Ananda. Sat means it is eternal. It never deteriorates. It doesn't get old. It doesn't die or anything. Then it is Chit. It is full of knowledge. And Ananda. It is completely blissful. The spiritual happiness, that spiritual bliss or Ananda, that it is full of. So that's why when one gets there, from there, he doesn't come back again into this material world. And that Krishna says in several places in this Bhagavad Gita itself. He says, and how do we go that in the 4th chapter we read, right? 4th chapter, 9th shloka. Janma karma cha me divyam evam yo vetti tattvataha tyaktva deham punarjanma naiti mameti swarjuna. That for a person who knows my appearance and the activities are divya, and one who knows them tattvata, in truth, in full realization, then for that person, he doesn't have to get another material body in this world, because he comes back to me. And the qualification to go back to the spiritual kingdom is only, this is given in many places, but again, he gives here is also bhaktya tu labhastva ananyaya. Only by bhakti. He never in any of the scripture or even in single place in Bhagavad Gita, he says that one can attain me by karma or jnana or yoga or hatha yoga or other. No, only by unalloyed devotion, ananya bhakti, bhaktya labhyas to ananya bhakti. Only that is, or even in the 18th chapter, he says that how can one know me? Only bhaktya mam abhijanati yavanyaschasmi tattvata. Tato mam tattvate jnatva vishate tad anantaram. So only by bhakti one can understand me the way I am, and after that one can enter my spiritual planet. Vishate tad anantaram. So that is very key, and this is, he explains in several shlokas in Bhagavad Gita, several verses. So only by bhakti one can go to the spiritual kingdom, and then from there he never returns. That place is called Vaikuntha Loka, or Krishna's abode. Abode means dham, what we call in Sanskrit or even Hindi or Marathi. So that is the spiritual kingdom of Krishna. That's how one attains this. But even the whole creation. So now we talked about the spiritual creation and the material creation. So the material creation is just like a cloud, a small area that is covered, that particular area, small cloud. Because when we are covered by cloud, we cannot see sun. But how much area a cloud can cover? Only an insignificant part of even this earth. Maybe it will cover a city or something like that, or maybe a couple of cities, but it doesn't cover the whole thing. In the same manner, the material creation is a very small area in the whole creation. The spiritual creation is the biggest creation. And the material creation is also compared to a prison house, where all the living entities who are rebellious, ichha dvesha samuthena dvandva mohena bharata. So because they have desire to enjoy separately from Krishna, because out of dvesha or envy about him or other living beings, they are given opportunity to enjoy in this prison house. So the prison house, as compared to, even if we see from practical example, suppose even every city has a prison house, a jail. How much is the area of the city and how much is the area of the prison house as compared to city? A very small portion of city is given for a prison house, right? In the same manner, a very small portion of the whole creation is this material creation. And in this material creation, then the living entities, the jivatmas, are given an opportunity. They are given a specific dress, just like when one goes to jail, they are given a specific dress to identify that they are living there. So there are different forms, which is our material body. They are giving to us, and through this material body, then we perform different activities in this material body. And how many types of dresses are there? 8.4 million, 84 lakh, 84 lakh. These are the different types of species of life. These are the different types of dresses or bodies we get in this material world, and we try to enjoy different types of enjoyments, what we are seeking for, through a different sets of senses or sense organs. So based on different bodies what we have, we will have different senses develop more. Just like in the human form of life, our senses have certain capacities. Even for seeing, I cannot see something beyond infrared and in ultraviolet light.
Okay.
I can see only the range that is within these two. I cannot even see infrared, something that is below this or something that is higher the or below ultraviolet and above infrared wavelength. Only that I can see. Even from hearing perspective, I can hear only certain decibels of frequency. I cannot hear everything. A dog can have better hearing capacity than I do. So in every form of living entity, they are given different sense capacities, and they are given an opportunity to enjoy that. So that's what we are doing in this whole creation. But this is a very small portion which is covered by Maya, or it is also called, is covered by Mahat Tattva. In the technical words that is explained in the scriptures is called Mahat Tattva, which is this whole material creation is called Mahat Tattva, from which the three modes of material nature, Satogun, Rajagun, and Tamogun, come. And by agitation of those modes with certain elements, then all these different elements are created. The earth, water, fire, air, and ether. Mind, intelligence, and ego, everything is created. And then the living entity enters in this, and it tries to enjoy or suffer in this material whole creation. And when it gets intelligent, it becomes intelligent enough that actually in this whole material creation, there is no real enjoyment. There is no real happiness. even the happiness I am deriving from this is temporary, and it is actually a cause of my further miseries. Then he starts inquiring, and then eventually he goes to Supreme Lord and then attains bhakti. And when he is completely purified, then he goes back to the spiritual kingdom. So, but this whole creation, Krishna says that his material energy, even the material or the spiritual energy. And there are different pastimes. So even in the Srimad Bhagavatam, we hear one Leela that Krishna performed, that when these all boys, all the Gopas, Balram and Krishna, they were playing, the boys complained to Mother Yashoda that Krishna is eating dirt. So to chastise him, Mother Yashoda called him, "You should not eat dirt." And he said, "No, I did not." And she asked him to open his mouth, and when he opened, what she saw was that there is whole creation in his mouth. There are multiple universes. In the multiple universes, there are multiple planetary systems. There is whole creation is in his mouth. And then she realized, what am I seeing? And then she thought, okay, this is something bad, and then she just forgot, as Krishna's Maya Shakti is pervading even the Vrindavan masses, but there are different Mayas. The Maya that is covering us is called Mahamaya, and the Maya that is covering his devotees in Vrindavan is called Yoga Maya. Because if they consider him as a supreme person, supreme Bhagwan, then they will not have that loving relationship with him. Yashoda Mata would not be able to chastise him, right? Or she will not have that loving affection that he is my child. Because if she knows that he is the supreme personality of Godhead, and he is the creator of everything, and he's the one who is maintaining and managing everything, then that loving relationship does not happen. Then the bhav that comes is like, oh, you are supreme, I worship you. But that is not the reciprocation that Krishna wants to have with his devotees who are in Vatsalya Bhav. There are different rasas that we talked several times. So everything is in him. That's what he says. Yasya antasthani bhutani. All the living entities are in me. Through his energy, he is expanded everywhere, and they are within him. Yena sarvam idam tatam. And thus, that's how I am pervaded everywhere. Sarvam idam tatam. So he is pervaded everywhere through his energies, and everything is within him. And then Prabhupada explains here the innumerable Vaikuntha planets, they can be attained only by bhakti or devotional service. And then he gives reference from Gopala Tapani Upanishad that Eko Vashi Sarvagaha Krishna, that Krishna is the supreme and he is everywhere, Sarvagaha. And then in the last verse, Prabhupada quotes from Brahma Samhita, Goloka eva nivasati akhilatma bhuta. That even though he is residing in Goloka Vrindavan and he is performing his pastimes, his nivasati Goloka, but he is akhilatma bhuta. He is managing everything and he is all pervading. He is everywhere. And then he quotes from Shvetashvatar Upanishad, Parasya Shaktir Vividaiva Shvete Swabhaviki Jnana Bala Kriyacha. Natasya Karyam Karanam Cha Vidyate, Natat Samascha Adhikascha Drishyate. That there is nobody who is superior to him. And there is no work that he has to do. Natasya Karyam Karanam Cha Vidyate. Natat Samaha, nobody is equal to him. Cha Adhikascha Drishyate. And there is nobody can be greater than him. And Parasta Shakti, his Shakti, Para, his Shakti, Vividhaiva, his multifarious energies. There are so many energies working under his control. Shruyate, they are known to others. And they are working so swiftly, so naturally that we cannot realize that they are working. Swabhaviki. And everything, Jnana, Bala, Kriya. All three things are working so swabhaviki. When we see that a rose is coming, it is extracting all the ingredients from the earth in such a way that it can spread that aroma, such a nice aroma. Or the same different tree, a mango tree, can extract the juices from the earth, and then it can give a sweetest nectarian fruit. And we see this all magical things happening around us, swabhaviki, natural. But we take those things for granted. So that's what this Shvetashvatara Upanishad explains here. Parasya Shaktir Vividhaiva Shruyate. Swabhaviki Jnana Vala Kriyacha. His energies are so expansive that they systematically conduct everything in this cosmic manifestation without any flaw. There is no mistake that ever happens. The sunset, sunrise happens perfectly well. The seasons happens perfectly well. Not a single day sun is late than his time to rise. And not a single day he stays more than he is supposed to set. Everything. And even though Krishna doesn't have to directly work anything in this, everything is working so swiftly. As we read in 9th chapter, he says that Maya Dhakshena Prakriti Swete Sacharacharam. This Prakriti, or the material energy of me, is working under my adhyakshata. Maya adhyakshatena. Prakriti Swete Sacharacharam. And it is controlling all the chara and achara, moving and non-moving living entities, or everything that is moving and non-moving. So everything is working under his control, but he doesn't have to do anything personally. Natasya karyam karanam cha vidyate. So that supreme person we are talking about, and he is the one who is saying that can be achieved only by ananya bhakti. So I'll stop there and get some reflections. Any thoughts, Prabhuji?
Yeah, we can go to the next one.
Okay.
Next.
Thank you. So yes, so let's read one more, and then it's a small purport, so we can read this and discuss. So let's recite this. Yatra kale tvanavrittim.
Yatra
kale tvanavrittim.
Yatra kale tvanavrittim.
Yatra kale tvanavrittim.
Avrittim chaiva yogina.
Avrittim
Chaiva yogina.
Avrittim chaiva yogina.
Avrittim chaiva
yogina.
Prayata yanti tam kalam.
Prayata
yanti tam
kalam.
Prayata yanti tam kalam.
Prayata yanti tam kalam.
Vakshami bharatarshava.
Vakshami Bharatavarshabha.
Bharatavarshabha.
Vakshami bharatarshava.
Vakshami Bharatarshava.
Rajesh Parve Prabhu, do you want to recite?
Yatra kale tvanavrittim.
Yatra kale tvanavrittim.
Vrittim chaiva yoginaha.
Avrittim chaiva
yoginaha. Prayata yanti tam kalam.
Prayata yanti
tam kalam.
Vakshami Bharatarshava.
Vakshami
Bharatarshava.
Okay. What else is there? Kiran Prabhu, you want to recite?
Yeah. Yatra kale tvanavrittim.
Yatra
kale tvanavrittim.
Avrittim chaiva yogina.
Avrittim chaiva yogina.
Prayata yanti tam kalam.
Prayata yanti tam kalam.
Vakshami Bharatavrashava.
Vakshami Bharatarshava.
Thank you, Prabhuji. So the word for word meaning or synonyms. Yatra means at which. Kala means time. Tu means and. Anavrittim means no return. Avrittim means return. Cha means also. Eva means certainly. Yogina means different kinds of mystics. Prayata means having departed. Yanti means attain. Tam means that. Kalam means time. Vakshami means I shall describe. Bharata Rishabha means O best of the Bharatas. He is referring this to Arjuna as Bharata Rishabha. Translation. O best of the Bharatas, I shall now explain to you the different times at which, passing away from this world, the yogi does or does not come back. So now this is whole story, this whole chapter, Krishna is answering to Arjuna's several questions, out of which he answered most of them in the beginning up to verse 4. And then the last question of Arjuna, he had asked that Prayana Kale cha katham gneyosi niyatatmavi. What is the destination of the one who, after the giving this body, and how can one think of you? So here from this verse, Krishna is describing about, he's saying that now I shall explain you the different times at which, passing away from this world, when one is giving up this body, one comes back to this world again and one does not come back. So what are the times and what are the things that he is going to explain in the next few verses? So let's read the purport. Rajesh Antaraman Prabhu, do you want to read the purport?
The unalloyed devotees of the Supreme Lord, who are totally surrendered souls, do not care when they leave their bodies or by what method. They leave everything in Krishna's hands and so easily and happily return to Godhead. But those who are not unalloyed devotees and who depend instead on such methods of spiritual realization as Karma Yoga, Jnana Yoga and Hatha Yoga must leave the body at a suitable time in order to be sure of whether or not they will return to the world of birth and death. If the yogi is perfect, he can select the time and situation for leaving this material world. But if he is not so expert, his success depends on his accidentally passing away at a certain suitable time. The suitable times at which one passes away and does not come back are explained by the Lord in the next verse. According to Acharya Baladeva Vidya Bhushana, the Sanskrit word kala used herein refers to the presiding deity of time.
Okay. Thank you so much, Rajesh. So here, this is a kind of introduction or what Krishna is going to explain in next few verses. So he explains that now I explain you about this material creation. I explain you the spiritual kingdom, and I now will explain you there are different times when one gives up this body. They either come or do not come back. And this is also for the yogis who try to go attain certain destination. What happens to them, what is their destination, and when at what time when they give up this body they come back or they don't come back. And we'll read in next verses, but that when one lives in the time of light, so Uttarayan daytime in the light of in the Prakash, and then on the waxing moon means Shukla Paksha, when moon is increasing from Amavasya to Paurnima. So that is called Shukla Paksha. So these times when one leaves, then he doesn't come back. And when other times, which are considered a time of darkness, when it is Krishna Paksha, or in the night, or in the darkness, or in the Dakshinayan, or other things, then he, even if the yogi, he goes to the some Swarga Loka or other planets, and then he comes back again. But a devotee of the Lord, because he has given his whole control in the Lord's, he has completely surrendered and he has given his complete control of his life to Krishna. He doesn't have to care for this, because he thinks whatever is will of Krishna, I will accept that. And for them, they can easily return back to Godhead because they leave everything to Krishna's hands. So they return back to Godhead easily. The example, one of these examples actually, I was remembering, if you know Bhishma Dev, after the war, even though Bhishma Dev was sleeping on the bed of arrows, he did not leave this body because he had a boon from his father, King Shantanu, that he can decide when to leave this body. So after war, when everything was done and the war was over, the battle of Kurukshetra was over, and Yudhishthir Maharaj was supposed to be enthroned as king. Excuse me. He was very sad that because of me, there are so many people died, and just so that I could become a king, is that what I am becoming king for? And then he was very upset on this. So, and nobody could pacify him. Even Lord Krishna could not pacify him. Again, that is, Krishna can, but he had a different plan for him. So that's why Vyasadeva, Krishna, and other sages also cannot pacify him. So Krishna told him that you should go to see Bhishma Dev and then take guidance from him. And Bhishma Dev was actually one of the most learned persons. He learned everything about the whatever is needed for a best king in under different devatas in Swargaloka. So all the Pandavas, all the sages, along with Krishna, Dhritarashtra, Gandhari, Kunti, they all went to see Bhishma Dev, who was still lying on the bed, but he has not given up his body. He was waiting for a suitable time, even though he was a great devotee of Krishna. But because he knew this and he had that boon or var from his father that he can decide when to quit this body, he was waiting for Uttarayan to begin. And then when Yudhishthir and all the Pandavas, they came, they offered him obeisances, and then Bhishma Dev actually gave all the guidance to Yudhishthir how to rule a kingdom. And during that time, he also offered very beautiful prayers, and that's what we know as Vishnu Sahasranam, and that is from Mahabharata. And then eventually, just continuously seeing Krishna in front of his eyes, he left his body. So he was waiting for that moment because he was a learned person and he knew what time to quit this body. He didn't have to do that because he was devotee of Krishna, and Krishna personally was standing in front of him when he was leaving his body. So I just thought of that, the different times that Krishna is going to explain in next few verses. Those are that one incident I remember from Mahabharata. So any thoughts, Prabhujis? We can get quick reflections, or if there are any thoughts, and then we can probably stop today. There is actually one incident I was thinking of that happened here yesterday in so one of the persons whom we know is of our same age. He has 3 kids. Some are college going, some are high schools. So he passed away yesterday. So his wife and they went to, you probably know Walmart, right? It's a grocery or it's a supermarket. So they went to get something from Walmart, and then he parked the car in the parking lot outside, and his wife was sitting there, and he had something to get quickly from the shop. And then she was waiting for him for a long time. She sent him few texts. So what is taking so much time? Come early. And then after some time, there are some emergency vehicles came in the parking lot. The police cars came, and then she saw something is happening. And then she tries to text him again and call him that come back again. There is something going on. We need to go. We need to leave this place. There is no response. So eventually, she kind of blamed him, or she got upset, and then she left the car and went to the shop. And just in front of the door, there was some people waiting. There is all the emergency people who are attending somebody. And then she saw that person lying was her husband. So in the parking lot, some truck hit him accidentally.
Oh my God.
And then on the spot, he was gone. And then there are some people, I didn't see the family, but there are some people, they met her and then they are in so big shock that she doesn't even realize yet that he's not there. This happened like 25 hours before now, just a day before yesterday. And she has not cried. She doesn't even realize. She doesn't know what to do. How to react to this incident, because it is so unexpected. He was healthy, nothing wrong with him. Yeah. But the purpose of telling this is that this type of situations are, of course, they are not very common, but the thing what we should realize is we don't have enough time. And whatever we are working so hard in this life is actually temporary.
Correct.
So everything we are learning from this Srimad Bhagavad Gita, we are learning to understand what is beyond this temporary world, or what is we are running after so hard to get. And are we going to take anything with us, whatever we are running after? The knowledge what we are learning from this Bhagavad Gita is telling us what our destination is. And I remember this because we are talking about Prayana Kala, that what
Correct.
consciousness we should have about Prayana Kala. But we don't even know. At least we are learning here now that, oh, there are some things, if I think of, I have to even think certain things at the time of leaving this body. Otherwise, I have no idea. I am leaving just like I will never die. And then even at our age, we are all 50 plus now. So considering the average living age, I don't know how about, but here it says about 77 years or something. So even if we live, say, average year, how much time we have really left? We really don't have enough time. So we have to, I think, contemplate on what we are supposed to do in the remaining time. What our destination should be. We always plan our trip. Like even if I am going from here to India, few days ahead of time, I start contemplating and thinking, oh, this trip, I have to take a trip. I have to pack these things. I have to work on this. I have to leave at this time. I have to prepare certain things with me. I go through lots of preparation. And Kiran Prabhu, you traveled a couple of places here in recent days. You have probably similar experience that you plan certain things. You take care of certain things because you are planning a trip. But there is a trip that is coming for all of us for sure.
With no
Guaranteed.
idea when.
We don't know where we are going. We don't know when we will go. We don't know how we will go. And we are not preparing for it. So just a food for thought for all of us. And so we should contemplate on that yes, one day I have to take that long journey. So I have to know where actually I am going to go. Am I going to carry, is there anything I can prepare for that trip? Is there anything I need to do before taking that trip? Is there anything I can carry with me in that trip? And if I can even carry, what are those things I can take with me? And what will happen if I take certain things, and what will happen if I take certain different things? So, yeah, we learn from Bhagavad Gita, and we are fortunate that we are studying this Bhagavad Gita in such a detail, scrutinizingly, every verse, slowly but steadily. And the goal is to contemplate on this, think about this, and see what we can learn and how we can prepare for that day, which eventually we have to face in our life. We don't know when, but we know for sure that it is going to come. That is guaranteed. So I just wanted to share that thought when we were talking about passing away and everything, that thought came to my mind. So
that is, can I interrupt a second?
Yes, please. Yeah, I'm done.
See, this is the reason why our traditional pace have talked about sannyasa around the age of 54, 55.
Vanaprastha.
Now, it is not necessary that at 55 the person will go. It's not also necessary that he will live to the average of 77 or cross it to 77.1, whatever it is. But the thing is, at 54, you slowly start releasing things. If you are lucky to be up to 70, you would have released almost everything and lived a life. But the whole idea is like भाडेकरू सारखा नेहमी आपला पोटली बांधून ठेवायचं. The slate should be clean. आजचा आज, उद्याचा उद्या. आता घेऊन गेलास तर मला फुलफिल करायचं काय बाकी राहिलं नाही. Ever ready to go, but always living happily. Meaning happy to live, ready to go kind of philosophy. And this actually our old systems, we should start looking at, because see, all the four, kama, artha, moksha, whatever, all the four, they are meant to be enjoyed, but at the right ages. What we fail to understand is at the age of 80, we want kama. See, if the person had learned that 54 is my cutoff, त्यानंतर मला, I have to start living differently. At 80, he will not feel that. Now the whole thing is we are completely in a wrong. आता 80 मध्ये त्याला पैसे पाहिजे, लॅम्बोर्गिनी पाहिजे, मुलगी पाहिजे. So, we are in a completely confused state of mind. Actually, our systems are very clear. Even if the person is not devout, assuming the person is not a Krishna Bhakta also. So the time of going is uncertain. So he will go wherever he will go. But the readiness to go or the fear of death was not there. Today we have unnecessarily brought that into our lives because of the Western influence. This is something we need to slowly. Actually, our whole philosophy of life is from childhood, the child knows about death. Meaning in slow stages. So it was never kind of, hidden, or they knew that asa hoto. And that's how they start preparing. Today's parents, I see, they don't take their children. They try to hide it from their children. But then it will be like Siddhartha. So Bayer Gelaki, he is going to be shocked. It will come to a stage where, people will do either a Siddhartha or do something wrong. So our progression of life was correct. I think we should just go back there to progress life as it was.
No, but this education, unfortunately, is missing what we are learning from Bhagavad Gita.
Correct.
It's very, very important because something that is unavoidable, and these are the four problems, four real issues that we have to deal with: Janma, Mrityu, Jara, Vyadhi, and they're unavoidable. But beyond
Exactly.
this, how can I get free from this? That inquiry we have to do. That is the
That is the
real
biggest preparation.
inquiry. And then
Correct.
even the dharma, what we call as the char purusharthas or four purusharthas that you talked about, dharma, artha, kama, moksha, they are also living a happy social life in this material world. They are not freeing you from anything. Even
Correct.
moksha when we get, but there is something beyond moksha that we learn from Bhagavad Gita or Srimad Bhagavatam or the other scriptures.
Correct.
Because even after moksha, because it is incomplete, there is no bliss, there is no ananda, one has to come back again in this material world. And then to get that ananda, they will engage themselves in some humanitarian activities for building schools, building ashrama, building hospitals and all that stuff. And through that, they will think that, oh, I will derive happiness from this, because happiness is the eternal nature or need of soul.
Correct.
And unless we get that happiness, the real happiness, we will be always miserable. And unfortunately, we are looking for that happiness in a wrong place.
Yes.
So that's why there is Panchama, what is it? सिद्धी और पुरुषार्थ, पंचम पुरुषार्थ, चार पुरुषार्थ हे सांगितले आपल्या याच्यात, धर्म अर्थ काम मोक्ष, बट हायर देन दॅट इज भक्ती, and that is the highest purushartha one can attain at any stage of life, and that is what is recommended in all our scriptures. So the four purusharthas only are for living keeping a social balance and living a happy life, so-called happy life in this material world. But there is something beyond that, and that's what one should aspire for, because without that, there is no complete freedom from this material entanglement. But yeah, thank you for sharing that, Prabhu. So yes, I'll stop the recording here.